I'm going to drill a couple holes in this salt shaker here. And if you don't have a drill or drill bits, like I said before, you can use any number of tools, but you may want to check by using like a little test piece to see what you're actually doing. If I take a needle tool and I just go around like this, then you can check the other side and see, is that really making the kind of hole I want? Maybe it is. But you can see it's a lot smaller on the back side. So just keep that in mind. A drill bit will put a uniform size of hole all the way through. It's not going to be smaller on the other end. So I can even take one of these bits and just drill it with my hand. This is, this is set up. I can still kind of indent with my hand a little bit the clay, but it's pretty hard. I have to really press to have an effect on the clay. This is a time when you're going to want to figure out how many holes I want. And sometimes people will do things, to make this signified as the salt shaker, like you could put, or a pepper shaker. I could say, oh, I'm going to just drill the letter P into this, and then everyone's going to know that's the pepper shaker. All right, it's a little rough. Really, I want to just let that set up and let those little flakes dry completely. It won't take too long because they're such tiny flakes, and then I'll clean up my work. So I got my major flakes cleaned off, and just to kind of primp this up a little bit, this little clay shaper tool can be really handy for times like these. You can see it's a little bit rough, and I can take this and just kind of just jam it in there and roll it around. Use my finger, use the clay shaper tool to smooth things out. The salt and pepper shaker, you can feel free to glaze it. Don't glaze it. It doesn't have to be glazed. I haven't ever glazed these on the inside. I don't think there's a need to. You just run into problems with plugging up the holes. But when you do glaze, you're going to want to make sure that those holes are clean, because they can seal up very easily if you do get glaze into the holes. And you also want to consider, if the outside is glazed, it's going to be a lot more functional for some types of eating. Like if you had the salt shaker at a barbecue restaurant, you'd probably want to have it glazed and not a very ornate surface, so that it could be easily cleaned up from all the barbecue hands and licked fingers that are going to be touching this all over. Oh yeah, Ryan shaking. Oh, I got my barbecue, but it's not salty enough. It's not got enough pepper. So keep that in mind. But if you're at a fine dining establishment and everyone's, they've got their fine cutlery, their set of however that works, the knife and the fork, I don't even know anymore because I don't really use those too much. But, you can get away with a lot more if people aren't going to be handling this with soiled fingers. So with that in mind, just have fun. The world is your oyster or your barbecue pit.